All right, so we're going to do the examples that are in your flipbook. So first things first, we want to think about our numerators and denominators, so factoring. So that 10 is going to stick around. I'm going to look at the denominator here. I see that 3 can come out, so I'm going to factor out the 3. That leaves me the x plus 5 on the inside, because 3 times x is that 3x, and 3 times 5 is the 15. Right? So I have that guy, and then I'm also adding 1 over x plus 5. So I'm going to look and see which things are in common. If I was thinking about this with my story, I'd be thinking about which things are in both neighbors' yard already, and that's the x plus 5. And then I can see here that this one needs, the second fraction needs a 3, right? So I'm going to multiply that on top and on bottom. And that's going to make sure that I have a 3 here and a 3 here, in addition to the x plus 5. So I'm going to go ahead and write down my original again, so 10 over 3 times x plus 5. I know that I have 1 times 3, so that's going to be 3 over, and now I have 3 times x plus 5 again. Now I can see that my denominators are totally the same, so when I'm putting these together, I can write 3 x plus 5 on the bottom, and then I just have to add 10 plus 3, which is 13. So that's going to be my answer. I'm going to write my warning, so x is not allowed to be negative 5. Right, so put a comma there. That is my answer for letter A. For letter B, I'm going to start in the exact same way again by factoring. Right, so factor the first part. The numerator doesn't have anything in common, so I'm just going to go ahead and write that there. My denominator I can see is a trinomial. I'm going to factor it out. Negative 16 and 6. I remember that this is 8 and negative 2. So I'm going to have x plus 8, x minus 2. And then I'm going to have over here 4x plus 8. I'm going to look at my two neighbors, see what they have in common. So I see x plus 8 and x plus 8 together. What I notice that they don't have is an x plus 2. So I'm going to put that over here as well on the bottom as well as on the top. Right. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my first fraction. I have 5x plus 2 over my LCD, which I'm just going to write like that for now, minus my 4 times x, so 4x, 4 times negative 2 would be negative 8 over that same LCD. Right? I see that this negative sign is going to be distributed onto both of those. So I'm going to have the 5x plus 2 from the beginning minus 4x, and then the negative and the negative make a positive 8 over my LCD. The reason I keep writing that is I don't want to forget that it's over there. And then if I'm putting these together, I have 5x minus 4x, it would just be x. And I have 2 plus 8 would be x plus 10. That's going to give me, over my LCD, I have 8x plus 8 and x minus 2. I don't see anything in common, but I'm going to write my warning. X cannot be negative 8 or positive 2. Just like that. So example 3, gonna factor first. So numerator doesn't have anything in common. Denominator needs the x factor, so negative 2 on top, positive 1 on bottom. It's gonna be 2 and 1. I'm going to make that 2 minus 1. So I'm going to have x plus 2, x minus 1, plus my other fraction, which is a 2 on top. And then I can see this one is the difference of squares. So I have x plus 1, x minus 1. So I'm going to look and see what each neighbor has. So I can see that they have in common x minus 1. Right, so that's in common there. And then each of these actually needs something else from their neighbor's yard. So the first fraction has an x plus 2 and the second one doesn't. So I'm going to have an x plus 2 added, or sorry, multiplied to the top and bottom of the second one. And then I can see that the second fraction has an x plus 1, but this fraction doesn't. So I'm going to have an x plus 1 here and an x plus 1 here. So that's going to be my long LCD. My LCD is going to have x plus 2, x minus 1, and x plus 1. So I'm going to go to town here. On my first fraction, I have x plus 3 and x plus 1. And on my second fraction, I have 2 times x plus 2, like that. Each of these is over my LCD, which has 3 total terms. Right, so I'm going to remind myself that this is the LCD here. From here, I'm going to start to factor these or multiply them back together. So x times x is x squared, x times 1 is 1x, 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times 1 is 3. That is my first fraction. And then here I'm going to distribute here. 2 times x is 2x, 2 times 2 is 4. Remember, now they have the same LCD, so this becomes like one big fraction over that one LCD. I'm going to combine my like terms real fast here. So I have x squared by itself. I have 1x plus 3x is 4x's plus 2x's is 6x's. And I have 3 and 4, which makes 7. We're still over my LCD here. From there, this is where we have to simplify, right? So I'm going to see if I can break this up into anything else. I'm going to use the x over here, put 7 on top, 6 on bottom. I can see that 6 and 1 would multiply to get 6, so that is not going to work. Let's see if we had 7 and 1, but I don't have anything there because 7 plus 1 would be 8. So it doesn't look like any of these will work for us. So we're just going to leave it with x squared plus 6x plus 7 over my LCD, which I have is x plus 1, x minus 1, and x plus 2. And so that is going to be my final answer. So that one is D there for us. When I go ahead, oh, we forgot our missing values, so I'm going to go ahead and erase that because it's not actually our final answer. And we have our comma, and x is not allowed to be -1, it's not allowed to be 1, and it's not allowed to be -2. Right? And those come from our denominators, from 1, -1, or -2 there. So that is our final answer. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to write any of this down. Otherwise, I am going to clear our board. So we can work on D. Oops, I made D disappear. So we will try to just erase this guy. Da, da, da. Okay, great. Okay, so we're on our last one, yay. We start with factoring as always, x goes on top. This is the x here, 25 on top, -10 on bottom is -5 and -5. So I have x minus 5 times x minus 5. I have a minus sign here, so I have x minus 4 on top. And I'm going to look and see if I have anything in common. I see I can take a 2 out, so I'm going to have 2 out, and I'm going to do x minus 5 on the bottom. I'm going to look to see what we have in common. So in common we have 1 x plus 5 is in common with this x plus 5. Then I see that we have another one and we have a 2. So I'm going to take that 2 right here, this 2 here, and I'm going to put it over here in front of that guy. And then also we can see that we need another x minus 5. So we need another x minus 5 over here. All right, so we have our new LCD here. We're going to make that note that that's going to be my LCD when I finish. So we have 2 times x would give me 2x. I'm going to do minus here. Remind myself that it's the whole thing we're subtracting. So x times x is x squared. X times 5 is -5x. -4 times x is -4x. Negative 4 times negative 5 is positive 20. So I have 2x minus this whole thing here. I have x squared. Put these together, I get negative 9x plus 20. That means really I have 2x minus x squared. That's going to turn to plus 9x and minus 20. Still got to combine like terms, so 2x, 9x make a negative. So I have negative x squared plus 11x minus 20. And then I don't want to forget that I'm over my LCD here, which is way up here and coming down this way. So I have 2 times x minus 5 times x minus 5. So I have this as my answer here. I'm going to make my excluded values. X cannot be equal to. The only one that I have here is x cannot be equal to 5. Right, so both of those come together. And that's how we complete adding and subtracting. Please, please, please ask questions. This can be really, really difficult, especially if you're having a hard time with multiplying or dividing or factoring of any kind. So please, please, please ask questions. I'm around. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.